Hello. Hope everybody's having a good Friday night. I am being a loser and I'm working in Bubble. Live streaming, working in Bubble, no less. I think that makes me a bit of a loser on a Friday night. That's okay. I am still trying to figure out this box plot situation that I've been going off about for the last few nights. If you've been watching, you know I've been kind of struggling with this a little bit. Not struggling. I figured that I'm almost there. I made some headway. I've actually been working on this all day. And I have a better idea of how this chart is meant to work. And that's actually something that I want to start with today. I think that is this still visible? It is. Take this off for a second. I sort of go. I started getting into this yesterday about kind of the process, the problem solving process that I've been paying attention to a little bit about how I go through this, right? And I think everyone kind of has their own process to solving problems in Bubble or solving any development problems where because everything is kind of problem solving. I've said that before, where if you are everything is like if you know how to do something, right? Like you have the fundamentals down, right? So you know what custom states are. I'm generalizing, of course. If you do have the fundamentals of Bubble down, right, and most people don't, obviously, but it's something that if you've spent 3 years or 1,000 hours in Bubble, you probably know what custom states are. You probably know how to use backend workflows and the skill is involved on like okay I need to use this at this point, right? Like you can start to identify when you need to use some certain fundamental feature or a different operator or a certain operator in Bubble to solve the problem that you have at hand. Now even if you know that, as well as somebody who's been working in Bubble since 2017, like myself, right? I've been working in Bubble since 2017, on and off, but I probably have close to 10,000 hours in Bubble at this point. So I know my way around. However, that doesn't mean that I know how to do everything. I don't. The platform, number one, is huge. Everyone's use case is different. Every feature that you're going to build is going to involve some problem solving, some level of problem solving. Now, if you're learning, that adds another kind of it adds more time. It adds more time and effort. I would say if you're learning Bubble, you're learning the fundamentals. It adds that kind of extra layer of what am I doing, kind of feeling. But that will get easier with time, definitely. Now, as I was saying, even for someone that has been working in Bubble for many years and they do understand the fundamentals of the platform, there's still a problem solving process that you need to go through. So mine starts the same way. I'm realizing because I'm actually paying attention to it now as I'm doing these live streams and as I am, just been working on the problems that clients present to me and helping other people with their problems. It starts with okay, I'm working. I know what I'm doing. Everything's smooth. It's flowing. And then something happens. You hit a wall, right? Something is blocking you from moving forward, whatever that blocker is. And that's usually the point where like if someone is stuck, like they'll reach out to Bubble or go to the forum. Like there's that point where you're just like, all right, I'm blocked. I have a blocker. The first step is to kind of understand your blocker, right? You don't even understand it yet, right? For example, with this box plot chart, box and whisker chart that I've been working with, I didn't understand originally the way that the data was supposed to be fed into the chart so that it would produce, what it's supposed to do, what it says like in the plugin editor, right? So even the plugin has pretty good documentation. There's examples, and most plugins, good plugins have some kind of documentation to them, and you can use that. But there's still, like, you still have to understand how the plugin expects information a little bit. That's not always clear and explicit in the plugin documentation. So you do have to do a bit of exploring, right? So step one was I didn't understand how they did. And then when I understood okay, it's expecting a list of numbers, for example, right? Like if I look at this, we got to bring it back. Right, so this plugin here expects a list of numbers, right? Then the next question was, all right, like, how do I get this? How do I produce this? Does it have to be stored in the database? I wasn't, I had to kind of dig to understand why that happened. So step understanding the problem. Step two was that I didn't, or not even step two yet, still on step one, is that I kind of didn't remember how to use or what a quartile was. I had to go back and relearn that. I did have, I've taken stats classes in college, but you don't really remember that stuff if you don't use it. So I had to go back and relearn how to calculate a quartile. And then I realized, okay, the problem here is that the way that the data is set up in my database for this client does not match the way that this plugin is expecting that data. I can't feed it in directly in any reasonable way, right? So now I understand what my problem is. Step one is understanding the blocker, and then you only move into step two, or I only move into step two. I mean, again, everyone's process is different. I only move into step two when I understand, okay, this is the problem that I'm trying to solve. Step three becomes, okay, I know what the problem is. I have to finagle all of the different operators and my knowledge of Bubble to try to find a solution to this problem. That's step three. When I know, then that's when this is where it probably takes the most time, right? You're just trying, because this is the trial and error part. It's really like, I don't know, the grouped and aggregated and all these different operations that is in Bubble. You're not just going to go and spend time reading the Bubble manual. That would be silly. But it is a time where there's a lot of trial and error. So this is the part where people get frustrated. This is the part where you kind of say, is this feature really worth it? Because you're understanding what it's going to take to really get this to work, and you have to be questioning yourself: is this essential? Right? Is this an essential feature that I'm building? In my case, it is. I don't have the client wants it. It is an interesting graphical representation. It's very useful to the users of this app. So it is an essential thing. But as the founder making that decision, this is kind of the point where you're like, all right, I can see this is going to take me some time to figure out, do I really need this? And I think most people get hung up on that question. It's not just how to do something, it's why you're doing it. And that's something that you should pay equal respect to. So once you found the solution, it doesn't end there, right? So going into phase 4, I would say, once you found the solution to your problem, then you have to implement that solution. So the implementation of it may be very tedious, right? It may be that you have to add a new data type to or a new column to one of your data types and then populate that field in bulk, right? There might be 1 million records in your database, and then you've got to set the record that you need, or set the column that you need for those records just to populate this chart. So that's the tedious part of this. So to just play that back again, I'm literally like thinking of this as I'm going here, but this is true. This is what I go through. It's you hit first is you hit your blocker. Second is understanding your problem. Third is finding the solution to your problem, and fourth is the implementation of that. All of these 4 phases have their own challenges, and it's easy to kind of get frustrated and give up if you don't have the proper motivation to really dig into that feature. So as a, when you're building this stuff, you're constantly balancing, okay, is this something that I really want to put this much time into, and in the absence of feedback, I'm a broken record at this point talking about how important user feedback is, but in the absence of feedback, you don't truly know if that's important, right? Unless you have someone saying like, we need this chart, we need this thing that is going to make me love your app more. So that's kind of the 4-step process to problem solving that I find myself going through over and over again. Doesn't matter how good you are, Bubble. Doesn't matter how well versed you are speaking with clients and understanding what they want. This is the process. This is the nature of, I suppose, development. I mean, I have people who work with code, JavaScript, and they say the same thing. It's not very different. The process is the same. The syntax is different, of course, right? Like I can read JavaScript a little bit, and I can understand what's happening, but I can't write it. Like I'd be at a loss if someone told me to like write a script. But and I think in the same way that somebody who's used to coding in JavaScript would look at this shit and be like, what the fuck is this? Why is this so complicated? So either one is going to take some getting used to, but the underlying logic is the same. I liken it to something very interesting that I realized. When I was in high school, we were taught logic in math, and at some point, I don't know if they're still teaching this, but there was logic, right? And that was just like the P and the Q, and the P if then Q, and there was all these rules. And it was so, like, at the time, it was so stupid. I was like, what are we learning? This is, like most teenagers, you don't really understand why you're in school or when any of this stuff will ever be useful. But that was the one thing subject or area of math that I really remember, like, this is so fucking useless. Like, why am I learning this? This has no application in the real world. And, the life has a way of being ironic, and here I am. That's all I do now. All I do are these if-then statements that create a complex set of rules in my app to produce the result that I want. So it's crazy. It's crazy that all these years later, I'm looking back thinking that the one thing that I said I would never use is what I'm using every day. That is irony. The cosmic, I don't know what you call it. I suppose it's irony. And I hear another thing I hear people talk about a lot is like algorithm, and they always talk about an algorithm like it's this really complex artificial intelligence that's underlying all of the YouTube algorithm. I'm sure it is very complex, but at the end of the day, in my mind, an algorithm is just a set of rules that lead to a result. So aren't we just all building algorithms? Aren't all computer processes just algorithms? Like, it's a command that produces an end result, right? So if an algorithm for YouTube may be like, if this account is older than 2 years and the account owner has uploaded 4 videos in the last day, and this many users have engaged with the content over this time, like, yes, it can keep getting like more and more complex. Then promote this video, right? Like, they're just rules, and we're building those, like, us as Bubble developers. We're constantly building those, aren't we? Like, we're just building. These are all algorithms. So I have to think that word is like not overused, but it's mystified, and it's really not that mystical. It's just a set of rules. I think. Anyway, it's kind of a side note. I keep hearing people say algorithm like it's something that's so mysterious, and it's really not. I don't think it is, unless it means something that something else that I don't understand. All right, let's get back to this. Let's get back to this box plot. What did I want to do tonight? All right, so where am I? I am at a point where I know how to, I know the correct, here's my box plot, right? I know the correct way to set this up in order to produce the result that I want. So I have, I set the data up in a way that it makes sense. So we've got these are addresses, and wait a minute, properties modified. This is a better view, right? This is the year, right? I've got multiple properties. Two per year. So 2023, there's two properties. 2022, there's two properties. 2021, so on and so forth. Okay, in the box plot, I want to say, and I keep saying box plot, but I'm not being clear about what a box plot even is. Let me just show an example of that. ApexCharts.js. This is the plugin that I'm using. A lot of interesting charting options with this plugin. This and Tech Blocks, the other Alex, his charts are, these are probably the two biggest or the two best chart plugins that I've found. So okay, so data distribution. Look, these get really cool looking. All right, this is what I'm looking at. Okay, so I hope that's the right one. Am I using the right one? Box and whisker. Box and whisker. Oh man, that would suck. Anyway, this is what it's supposed to look like. So going back to the data. Sorry, I got sidetracked. There is two per. We can ignore this at this point. We can ignore these columns. We don't need them. That was the way that this is the way that it was set up in the example and that in the editor in the plugin editor that they give. But you don't need to do it this way. So what I've figured out is that you have to get the minimum, however many number of X series there are, there has to be a corresponding value for each one of these fields, right? So if there's 2019, we have to look for the min for 2019, the min for Q1, the min for this. And you can calculate that with the bubble expression. And this is the one that I found. So if I'm looking for the search for properties grouped by year, and then the aggregation is the min of the price per foot. So I'm only calculating on this field, the price per foot field. Cool. All right, so that, and the result of this is a list of numbers, because this is going to produce, it's going to gather the year that this property is a part of, well, like the last year sold or whatever, and then it's going to find the minimum of each one of those groupings. Right, very handy formula or handy expression, right? This does a lot here. So it's calculating the minimum, and then you can see, right? So first off, I've got I should have started with the grouped by year, right? So just search for properties grouped by year. That should be the top. Search for properties grouped by year. Yep, and that seems to work. Okay, so that one. I gotta get rid of some of this shit. Okay. Search for properties grouped by year. And then my second here is search for properties, group it by year, And then the aggregate in the aggregation section, give me the minimum off of this field, price per foot. So it's first grouping by year and then finding the minimum of the price per foot column. And that goes, and you can see these values are equal. There's 4 values here and there's 4 values here. And that's going to be the number of box plots that you get, right? There's 2 per year. There's 2 properties per year, but it's grouping them by year. And that's going to give me both of those 2 properties are in a single box. 4. So I have the minimum, right? This is the min, this is the median, and this is the max. So you could see, and this comes from these options here. Now, what I don't have is a second and third, or first and third quartile, which is what this plugin needs, right? So you can see here, I've got this search for, well, actually this is wrong. I have to change this. Let me copy. I should be able to just copy this, copy expression, and paste that here. Paste year min's price per foot. Cool. Now the problem that I'm having is these two, right? These two are inaccurate. These are accurate, right? So if you're following this logic, 2019, the maximum for 2019 should be 80, right? And if we go to our data, the max, we're looking at, I'm going to hide these other columns because they're going to be confusing. Max, median, min, we don't need these. Q1, Q3. All we need is the year and the address and the price per foot. Let's get rid of owner occupied too. Okay, so the maximum, what did I say? 2019? Maximum for 2019 is 70, right? And the min should be, I'm sorry, the max is 80, where the min is 70. And that's what we have. The max for 2019, max, min. So that works. Like we're evaluating this series, this data set here, and we're getting the minimum. And that is good for each year, grouped by year. That's fantastic. That's exactly what we want. But again, we don't have an operator. Bubble does not have an operator for quartile. Maybe it does. Bubble operator for quartile. All right, see, quartiles are not part of it. I don't see anything here. Operators and comparisons. This is probably going to take us to the bubble manual, but there's nothing here on quartiles already. All right, so problem that I have now, all right, so I think I'm already like kind of in my solution phase, right? I'm in phase 3. No, I'm still in problem solving phase. I would say I'm still in stage 2. I've solved the problem of the min, median, and max, and I understand how this plugin needs to be fed, but this is still a problem. This is still very exploratory. I don't know how to get my quartiles yet. Now, I tried with this plugin, but I can't, for the life of me, I can't figure out how the fuck to use this. Right? You would think it's supposed to be it's supposed to be like similar to Excel, like it would work like an Excel formula, but it I mean, if it was like Excel, I would just drop the expression in here, and that would give me a result, right? But it doesn't do that, right? So we've got 1 times 1, and the documentation. This is kind of, it's funny because it's a paid plugin, but there's not a lot of documentation here, right? Like, build complex calculations in your app based on Excel formulas, get instant results, and run anywhere you like. It sounds perfect, right? It sounds beautiful. but there's all these different variables, advanced calculation. These are all the actions that are available. Formalized calculation. I just don't understand how to implement this. I've tried here, and I'm also hesitant to work with another plugin. Like we're going on 3 plugins for this one functionality to work. Plugins do slow down your app at the end of the day, so you want to kind of minimize them. They do create dependencies, and they're looking up to custom code, maybe somewhere else on the internet. So connections do have to be made. And I'm a little hesitant to use this one. It doesn't have very many installs, but it seems to be the only one that does what I need it to do. Yeah, Upstarters. This is complex. This is not going to be easy for anyone to figure out how to use this. Now, normally I try not to bitch about. Yeah, let me explain this. I try not to bitch about plugins because at the end of the day, we are reliant on plugins. Bubble is a complete platform because people were nice enough to go and spend their time developing a plugin with custom code to build some functionality that they probably needed and then opened it up for other people. So if you're bitching about plugins, especially free ones, keep that in mind. You don't have to do this. Same as the forum. You should be respectful on the forum. You should be grateful that anyone is answering you at all. I don't use the forum that much. I'm selfish, right? I take from it, but I don't contribute that much to it. Something I should work on. But I don't bitch either. Don't bitch about free advice or free plugins because people are taking time out of their day to help you and make your app experience better. So just keep that in mind the next time you want to complain about a plugin that is free. Now, with that said, I do feel if the plugin is paid, that there should be some level of standard. You're asking people for money, so you should have some, standard functionality or the standard. I would say even maybe documentation that should be adhered to. Because you are taking people's money, you should be giving them a quality product. Now, Bubble, I don't think has the time to be reviewing these plugins, so there's no standard of quality. I could literally throw up a shit plugin tomorrow, and I don't think anyone would say anything. I think the worst thing that could happen is that just nobody would use it, and who cares? I've never seen any plugins that are malicious though. They just don't work very well, or they're too hard to figure out. This one I'm putting in the second category. I don't think it's malicious, but it is very complex and the documentation is not strong. So I really you can see that this is the only element associated with this plugin, and then there's a ton of workflows. So maybe there's a key somewhere in here in one of these. See, it looks up to a set advanced variables formalize. It's setting element formalize a variables things. It looks like it's looking up to a database value that holds a formula. That is just it's too much. It's too much. I don't understand this. Search for TEM elements. Yeah, I am not going to use this. I'm not going to use this because I just don't think it's worth the time to try and figure this out. Min and max. Now, the problem is that I'm probably going to wind up having to write some really complex formula that captures the quartile. Quartile is just a count, right? calculate quartiles. I think you just take the number of. Oh, is this all it is? We can build this. The lower quartile is Q1, n plus 1 times a quarter. Number plus 1 times a quarter. I can do that. The number of the data set plus 1 times 0.25. Maybe we can just calculate this. Ooh, if that's the case, then we can just use I haven't used the new parentheses in Bubble. Let's get rid of this. Fuck this plugin. Upstarters, I am sorry. I'm not going to spend the time to figure this out. Uninstall. I'm going to uninstall this one too. I didn't love... This one was okay, but I did not love the... This plugin cannot be uninstalled yet because you are still subscribed to it on a monthly basis. What? No, I'm not. Go to plan. All right. Well, it looks like it's gone. All right, let's use our... We may not even need it. Well, let's install the Math.js plugin. Now this is an interesting one. I don't know by no name provided, but this is the only plugin that's available to run math calculations in Bubble. All right, goodbye. What is this? Oh, that was the old chart. All right. So let's get our where's my math plugin? Math.js. Where's the element? It's not called math? Calculate? Oh, it's only data calls. Oh, I installed the wrong one. I don't want the API one. I want the... I guess I want the local one. The one that's unmaintained and may have significant bugs. Right in the description. Installed on 18,000 apps. All right, what's the expression? We want, let's go back here. Oh, God. N plus 1. So that would need to be do a search for properties grouped by, so grouping by year. That'd be exact. My aggregation, I don't think I have an aggregation. Remove this aggregation. Grouped by year, each items I want to group it by year, but I only want it to, but I want to access, what am I accessing again? I'm accessing the quartile Oh, maybe I'm not grouping it yet. I totally lost track of what I was doing. All right, so if I am, this works. I'm trying to reproduce this, right? Let's take a step back. Go back to my min. I'm grouping it by the year, and then I'm aggregating it by the price per foot and the minimum at that. So what does this have to be exactly? Search for properties, grouped by year. Wouldn't I have to say count? I think we have to do this in a text element first. Well, let's get rid of this. We don't need that. Let's do this. Search for properties. This should give me a 4, because there's 4 years. There's 5. I lied. There's 5 years. Okay. Search for properties grouped by year count. So there's, oh yes, that gives me my n, right? That gives me the n. N plus 1. Let's see how these parentheses work. Bubble has said that they've done this, and I don't know. No, that doesn't work. I should be getting an operator there. No, I should be getting a math operator. So I don't know. I don't know how to work these parentheses that Bubble claims. They said it was an experimental feature. It should work like this. And then multiplied. Oh no, plus 1. Plus 1, right? I could do this too. I could just say clear this, and math.js is a result. All right, so we got a 6. That gave us the correct value. And then I think I have to add a multiplier here, multiplied by 0.25, right? Because that's the same, 0.25. 0.25. That's not dynamic. 0.25. Oh, plus 1. I think this whole thing needs to be in parentheses. And multiply this by 0.025. See what that gives us. No, does not give us 6 plus 1. Parentheses are no good. Let's take the parentheses out and see what it gives us. Nothing. I have this working in another app. How did I do it? Oh, but I'm using the Math.js API one, not the local one. Damn it. All right, so let's see. We got weekly backend scan. See, like this. I think when we start calculating the hammers, yeah, see 2 times. See, this is parentheses. It's not working the same way here. Oh. What the fuck am I doing? I was doing it in the text box. Math.js results is a number. And this is going to be +1. And I don't think I need the parentheses here. Results +1. I need the parentheses here multiplied by 0.25. All right, 1.5. That is the correct value. All right, so that is working, but there's still something not quite right about this. Why not? Do we have to calculate it for each year? We do. We do. We have to calculate it for each year. It's not just search for properties grouped by. Oh, wait. It is. Oh, it shouldn't be the count. There's 5 years. What am I missing here? I'm missing something. Lower quartile Q1 is equal to N, the number +1 times 1/4. A quartile is a statistical term that splits data into quarters or 4 defined intervals. It basically divides the data points into 4 sets into a data set in 4 quarters on the number line. One thing we need to keep in mind is that data points can be random, and we have to put those numbers in line first on the number line in ascending order, and then divide them into equal quartiles. Basically, it's an extended version of the median. Median divides data into 2 equal parts. Quartiles divided into 4 parts. So if I am looking to get a list of Q1s, a list of quartiles, I have to look at what data am I looking at? I have to look at the price per foot. I have to look at these two, for example, and find the first quartile of these. The first quartile of 80 and 90. So what is a quartile calculator? Quartile calculator. I have 80 and 90. Oh, yeah, you need at least 4 values to calculate a quartile. 80, 90, because it's a quartile. Wow, don't I feel stupid? So the first quartile here would be 85. The min would be 80. Okay, so calculate the quartile with the data set that I have. Right. And I'm also calculating, I should be calculating not the number, it's not the n. The n is, the large n is the data set? I don't know. Let's close this. Close this. We have it with n data points. N plus 1 times 1/4. I don't see, whatever. I'm not going to argue with the math. I am not a math whiz. Grouped by year count. I don't think I should be counting here. Oh, maybe I should be, the aggregation should be a count. And then each item's, does that produce a list? It does produce a list. Though I don't really understand what it's giving me. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back. By years count plus 1 times 0.25. So that means that, wait, did that give me a result? I don't know that it did. No, it didn't give me any result. Yeah, okay, because that doesn't make sense. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that didn't give me anything. All right, it shouldn't be giving me anything because I do need, but then how is it giving, oh, it's giving me the median, and the max. Yeah, that's easy. Median, max, and min, that's easy. All right, so let's add a few more here. Hawthorne. And we'll make the price per foot 90. Make the year 2023. Okay, we got a couple, we got 4 2023s. Let's change this to 1,000. See if it treats that like an outlier. Collins is 2023. All right, so we've got 4 2023s. Foot is 420, 452. Year is 2022. Vanderbilt. These are all my childhood streets. Fall Park, New York. Okay, so I got 2020 sorted by year. I've got 2023 covered. I've got 2022 covered. I gotta do 6 more. Out of the streets. Tyson. 2021. 96. Okay, this is the tedious part. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2020. Three more. Three more. They're all flowers. Did I fuck this up? No, I didn't fuck it up. It's not sorted. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I did fuck one up. I fucked up this. 2020. It's annoying. Need 2 more 2019s. And the last one. Out of names. All right. A revised data set. So if I add these numbers, if I add the 2023 numbers, my quartile calculator, what does that give me? Maximum is 1,000. Okay. Okay. All right. First quartile is 50. Look at that. So why would it not mark it as an outlier? That's the interesting part. Okay. Let's work this expression again. We're searching for properties. We're grouping them by the year. And then within that year, we want to find not the count. Within that year, we want to find the first quartile of, no, these are the first quartiles. Is one of these the is 50 one of these numbers? No, it's not. It's not one of these numbers. I don't know if I should be aggregating this. Searching for the properties. Let's take a look at one where it actually is doing what I wanted to do, right? We're searching for properties, we're grouping them by the year. We're taking the minimum in the price per foot of each year. So this expression is only possible because I have the option of minimum in the aggregation. This, on the other hand, we don't have the quartile, so we have to build that. And I don't understand how to do that. Do a search for properties. Search for properties, group them by year, fine. But can we even do that yet? Can we even group it? Grouped by year. Let's just see what this gives us. I'm going to get rid of this. Search for properties grouped by year, each item's count. There should be 4. It should be a list of 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. No, it's still not giving us anything. Right? This is not even, it's not producing anything. Search for properties grouped by year, count. Each item's year. Well, that shouldn't give us anything. All right, let's remove this. What does this give us? Search for properties grouped by years. Fine. Search for properties grouped by year, and the aggregation of accounts, and then each item's count. That should give us 4. So there's 4 properties per year. Exactly. Okay. So this gives us a list. This formula is this n plus 1. This. How does this make sense? This isn't taking it into account. Oh, this is the placement. Shit. This is the placement. Oh my god. Oh, this is a much more complex. This is buildable though. This is a much more complex. This gives you the placement of the number in that data series. It's not the actual number. Oh my god. Okay. So but that, oh wow, no, that can't work. I can't do it. No wonder Bubble doesn't have an operator for this. It's too complex. It would work if it's an even number. But if you're dividing by an odd number, you're going to get a decimal. You can't have a decimal unless you round it. Oh, God, my brain is going to explode right now. Search for properties grouped by year and then count that. Here's count. So we got 4, 4, 4, 4. 4 is the n. 4 is the n. Fine. Let's clear this. Math.js's A's result. Come on, why not? You shitting me? What do I have to multiply this by something? Count. Each item's count. Plus 1. I don't know. Don't give me dick. I wonder why that doesn't produce a result. It does when I put it in a text. All right, I got 4, 4, 4, 4. So the key would be to multiply this. Or add 1 to this. Multiply it by 0.25. And then I guess that would have to be rounded to 1. Then that would be the first number in this data set. I don't know. My brain hurts. I don't think I can do this anymore. This is hard. This is very hard. I definitely think that there is a solution to this. I definitely think I can calculate this quartile with using bubble expressions and the Math.js plugin. But I don't think I can do any more tonight. Brain feels fried. I'm going to catch you next week, every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Come with your bubble questions. Please, please. I'd rather solve your problems than my problems. Thank you. Have a great weekend.